Hello, I am Jon Najarian, and I'm here at the NASDAQ with Ross Orr, the CEO of BacTech Environmental Corporation. Ross, great to have you here, sir.
Thanks,
I
John.
think this is an exciting story, an uplifting story, because it's not every day I get to speak with somebody who not only is finding a way to clean up some problems, some messes, but also helping employ some folks in Ecuador that are going to dramatically increase their net worths by doing this cleanup. BacTech basically uses a process called bioleaching. This bioleaching, your bugs eating rocks, as you like to say, to get in there and strip things like gold and silver and other
copper.
Some great stuff that people want instead of that mess that's left when the miners, back off.
There are huge tailings issues in this part of the world, and in tailings, the sulfides break down, and they create a sulfuric acid, which takes arsenic and everything else with it into the rivers. In this case, the first part of the plant we're building is we're actually going to be buying arsenopyrite concentrate, which is actually what's being pulled out of the ground. So in essence, we're stopping the mess from getting into the rivers by not putting it into the tailings. At some point in time, we'll expand to such a size where we will build a plant strictly just for the tailings to fix it up. And that's what the government wants to see that as well too. So bioleaching, or bacterial oxidation is another name for it, is a replacement for smelting and roasting. That's old technology they call pyrometallurgy. The new technology is called hydrometallurgy because all the reactions are taking place in a liquid environment. So we have these massive tanks, and over a 6-day process, the bacteria are constantly chewing at the sulfides, which effectively, if you can think of a brick wall, they're eating the mortar. And eventually by the 6th day, everything that's soluble in acid, because the acidity in the tanks is about 1.5. So your copper, your nickel, cobalt, arsenic, iron, they go into solution. The gold and silver do not because they don't react to acid. So you have this solid liquid separation. You pour a Doré bar, and then you raise the pH by adding limestone to the liquid, and the first thing that happens is the iron and arsenic band together and drop out as a ferric arsenate, which is a US EPA landfillable material. So we're the only nuts that actually go looking for arsenic.
Right.
So it's a big market that's out there waiting for us, there's no question.
Your bugs eat rocks. I love that. Next time we're going to have rocks here on the show,
right,
folks.
yeah.
But in addition to that, Ross, these people in Ecuador, many of them probably were the same people that were working in those mines, but they were making perhaps $5,000 a year. And with BacTech cleaning it up, making the environment better, you're also putting a lot more money in their pockets. Tell us how that works.
We are, because most of the people that will be working for us are farmers. They're pickers.
Okay.
There's a lot of cocoa trees. In fact, our 100-acre property is filled with thousands of cocoa trees. Since we're only using, in the first phase, 20 acres of the 100 acres, why don't we leave these people here to continue doing what they're doing? I don't need 80 acres of dead cocoa trees. And tell them that whatever they harvest, they can sell for their own account. And eventually, when we cannibalize the rest of the property, we'll bring them on full-time to work in the plant. Well, that obviously was a big hit in the area, and it sort of said, okay, you guys are not like the mining companies who would normally say, okay, beat it.
Right.
Like, get out of
done.
here.
The mine's done.
So we have one permit left on our project, and it's called consultation, and it's just like it sounds. We're talking to the people to make sure that they're cool with what we want to do. And I can tell you that it's gone very well. There's been no opposition to it. Most of the people are saying, where do I get a job?
Right. And the job that pays perhaps 3 times what they were making previously.
I think that's low.
Yeah. Well, because there's also a bonus pool, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to toss out the number because I don't want to have any preconceived conceptions out there. But
right.
As we discussed earlier, not everybody who wins the lottery though has a fond story at the back end.
Right.
So it's really incumbent on us to provide them with some sort of financial literature or
some literacy that
they can
know how they can invest.
Exactly. Well, or send their kids to college, or exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now you guys are going to finance this plant. Tell us a little bit about how you're financing the plant. I mean, I know you're a publicly traded company up in Canada, but tell us a little bit about how you're going to finance this.
So we've probably spent about 5 million Canadian to date to get to where we are today. That includes all the BioLeach test work, where we got 96% gold recovery and 100% arsenic stabilization. We did an independent bankable feasibility study where the numbers were outstanding. So good that the government gave us a 12-year tax holiday as for bringing a biotech technology to mining in the country. You know, they're trying to sell a positive story to the people as well. That
Sure.
That the country's a jewelry box, but there's a lot of pushback from the indigenous people about, you know, mess. I mean, let's face it, the mining industry doesn't have the best track record for being clean. So we've got to the stage now where we got our EIS, or environmental impact study, done in 7 months, which was a record. They are pushing this. They want this to happen. And I think we're going to be the first company to come out the gate next month with consultation permit issued out of 108 applications that went in the front door. Because most of them are mines, and they're not going to be able to get that no pushback from the local community. There's going to be some.
Sure.
So we decided that because we really consider ourselves to be an ESG company, that
Truly you are.
the best thing that we could do would be to issue green bonds. And then we found out, okay, there's 200 companies out there that can tell you, or certify you as a green bond company. And we looked down the list, and I said, Moody's, right there, that's the one I want.
Yeah.
And they've been terrific. I'm hoping that in the next, or in the short term, I don't know what that means as far as days, but that we are going to receive our certification as a green bond issuing company, which opens you up to a whole, I think I saw something recently where the money that went into green bonds was double what went into resource extraction and that sort of thing, oil and gas and mining and everything else. So if you have the goods, you know, go that route, and that's what we're going to do.
What's the status of the flagship project right now in Ecuador?
It's basically waiting on me raising $20 million. Those are US dollars.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, is that Canadian?
I wish it was Canadian. And that's made up of 15 million in CapEx and about 5 million in working capital. Every day we're buying 50 tons of material that's coming in that's got 2 ounces of gold in it, so you do the math. It doesn't take long before you owe a lot of money.
Sure.
And the process to take the 6 days of processing, making the doré bar, and then selling it, it's probably, by the time we get up and going, it's going to be 2 weeks or so. So we'll start to, obviously start to churn our working capital, and eventually we'll lower that $5 million down to zero, I would hope. I mean,
You're just 2 days back from Ecuador on a most recent trip. How did that go?
I was on a panel on Friday night with the Minister of the Environment. Everybody knows BacTech now.
Now, ESG and mining, these are two things that nobody else, that's why BacTech's going to be getting all this press, is because there's literally nobody else that's putting those two things together, that's environmentally helping fix a problem that has existed and yet still extracting, like you said, gold, silver, and some of these other base metals.
Really, anywhere there's arsenic, the world's our oyster. And it's all about capital. That's what makes this first plant. So don't forget, we actually built plants for other people before. And I woke up one day and I said, we're making money for everybody else. We're solving their problem. Their market cap would go from 20 million to 500 million because they now had a producing gold mine that had a way of stabilizing the arsenic. So for us, we finally said, look, we're just going to do it for ourselves. And it's tough when it's the first one, because they look at our stock price, they look at our market cap, and they say, okay, this is like David and Goliath. But we're pretty tenacious. We've been at this a long time, and I think we're really close to the goal line now to getting that first one up and running. My goal is to build one a year for the next 5 years. I mean, technically, you could be producing half a million ounces of gold in 5 years.
Yeah, and 500,000 ounces of gold, even at today's price, roughly $2,000 an ounce.
It's $1 billion.
Yeah,
I know it's crazy, but and our margins, because of the tax status that we got, are 25%.
It certainly seems like Ecuador, the government itself, as well as the people, have to be behind BacTech in doing this, because you're providing jobs, you're helping them have a better environment after somebody else maybe would have wrecked it.
Yeah.
And instead of just helping the guys that wrecked it fix part of it and them getting the benefit, BacTech is going to be getting the benefit.
Right, exactly.
I love it. Ross, thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.
I love hearing stories like this, and I think this is going to be something that people are going to focus on. That's BacTech, folks, trades on the CSE in Canada and the OTC down here.
QB, yeah.
OTC QB. Thank you.